Let's learn of Rasulullah. Dear sisters, let's make the future bright. Dear sisters, mothers, daughters and wives. Dear sisters, let us get closer to Allah.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على الرسول الصادق الأمين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. My dear sisters in Islam, welcome to a new episode of our program Dear Sisters. We're live, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, with you right now from Huda TV's studios, and alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, as always, we are joined by our dear guest, Sheikh Ibrahim Zidan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you doing this afternoon?
Alhamdulillah, great.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We have a lot of questions this afternoon from our dear sisters, and I was only able to pick a few of them for today's episode. Inshallah, we're going to take more in the upcoming episodes, inshallah. Just to let you know, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, this program as a program is doing very well. And alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, it's benefiting a lot of people. I feel with the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are filling a gap in Islamic media in general when it comes to dedicating a specific time for our dear sisters. And of course, as you know, this is a sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When our dear sisters, the Sahabiyat, asked him sallallahu alaihi wasallam for time specifically for them, what did he do?
He gave them time.
He gave them time. We gave them a specific time for them. So maybe we can't give a day, but we can at least give an hour on this program, inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. My dear sisters in Islam, feel free, inshallah, to give us a call at any time during the program, beginning right now, inshallah, at 002-0238-555-248 or 249. Ask us your questions, any questions relating to Muslim women or to relationships, family relationships in general. And before we begin, because subhanAllah, some of the questions that we're getting are very heartbreaking. I just want to say, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help every single sister who is facing a difficulty. Every single sister who's facing a difficulty in her marriage, facing a difficulty with any type of oppressive person, whether it's a husband, whether it's a parent, whether it's a child, whether it's society in general. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help you. And just know that no matter how many hardships you go through, that always with difficulty there is ease. Inna ma'al usri yusra. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make a way out for you. Today, inshallah, we want to concentrate a bit and begin talking about the role of the Muslim mother. The role of the Muslim mother, as we said before, that subhanAllah, the mother and the woman in general is half of the society, and she raises the other half. So in essence, she's the entire society, subhanAllah, the Muslim woman. So inshallah, we begin talking about the subject, but at the same time, our phone lines are open so that we can take your questions about any subject relating to Muslim women, inshallah, and any subject relating to relationships. Sheikh Ibrahim, let me begin by asking you, when does the role of the mother begin? Does it begin once she gets pregnant? Does it begin after childbirth? Does it begin maybe after the child is 2 years old or 5 years old, or that child reaches puberty? When does it begin?
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. The mother or the father, both, raising a child starts from even before marriage. When it comes to the choosing, period, where the husband chooses a righteous wife, and the wife or the guardian is looking for a righteous man with proper religion and so on. This is where people should look into the right of the child that will be the outcome of this relationship. Many times people are selfish, right? They're looking for their own personal benefit. But we need to look ahead and to have this vision that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. This is supposed to be the mother of my child. And the mother, this is the husband, will be the father of my child.
SubhanAllah, so in Islam, the rights of the child begin even before the child is born.
Right. Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiallahu anhu, there was a tradition here that mentioned that it's time when a man came to him and he was complaining about his child or about raising the child, and he asked him how old was the child, and he said something that his age was very young, very, very young. He said, it's too late. It's too late now. It's something that happens even before conceiving the child. So, but alhamdulillah, anytime if a person wakes up and repents to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful.
So not raising our child correctly, that needs repentance in itself?
Definitely, because we take, yes, the physical means in which we learn how to raise the children and so on. It's knowledge that a person needs to seek. But at the same time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most just and He's the most merciful. If the mother is seeking the help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being righteous herself, and the same thing for the father, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful, will bring the outcome of that, children that will be followed the same path of the father and the mother. So if you want to have righteous children, then be righteous yourself. And this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, in stories in the Quran, a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's how the religion is so easy. Just focus on yourself, make sure that you are righteous, make sure that you follow the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make ways easy for you. And definitely being focused on raising children to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anas radiallahu anhu, his mother, Sulaym, the first thing that she made sure that Anas would say, the first words for him to utter, right? Usually we're so happy if the child says mother or father,
says Baba or Mama.
Right, that's
then we compete which did he say first, right? Yes.
She was making sure that the first words that comes out of the mouth of Anas is La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah.
That means what? That means she's constantly saying that to him. Right? Constantly making dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first thing that comes out of his mouth is La ilaha illallah.
SubhanAllah.
What kind of child is this?
I thought, SubhanAllah, what kind of a child is this? I thought came to my mind.
No.
Now this child, Anas radiallahu anh, the first thing that he says is La ilaha illallah. And the last thing that he says before that is La ilaha illallah. No. So he begins with La ilaha illallah and ends with La ilaha illallah.
And it shows the concern. What is the concern of such a mother? When she is constantly saying that to her child, she is in state of dhikr, she is in state of remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and she's focused that she wants to have this child as being a true servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And once he became, or having some understanding, she sent him to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam immediately to serve the Prophet alayhi salatu wasallam. So, and actually, by the way, this family of Anas radiallahu anhu and his mother, it's a family that needs for us to, focus more, and maybe we can dedicate some time to talk about this whole entire
story.
family.
Yeah, we can talk about their story, inshallah, and see what morals we can learn from it. Now, we talked a bit about choosing the right spouse, and when we're saying choosing the right spouse, that also goes for the woman, right? For the woman and her guardian to pick the right man. It's not just about just let anybody propose. We can't get anybody these days, so whoever proposes will just accept.
Right.
We have to look for the righteous person.
And when it comes to the mother side or to the woman's side, we have the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam: إذا جاءكم من ترضون دينه وخلقه فزوجوه لا تفعلوا تكن فتنة في الأرض وفساد كبير. Which means if a man comes to you that you're satisfied with his manners and his religion, two things, manners and his religion, get him married. Otherwise it becomes a fitna, tribulation and corruption on the face of earth. Why? Because the criteria that people will choose, if it's not based on manners and religion, then what else? It will be materialistic things which leads to corruption, and this is what we're facing as Muslim Ummah nowadays.
But why manners and religion? Isn't manners part of religion?
It's a very beautiful question, because religion to some people might be that he is making the salah in the most perfect way, he's doing the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his life, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and will make him dhikr and so on. But this not necessarily something that would be in his manners of dealing with his wife. So it's something that they have to check. The same way that they would ask about his religion, is this a righteous man? They should ask about his manners. How is he with his parents, with his family, with the people in the masjid, with people in large? The mannerism, buying and selling, things like this. How does he treat others? This is very important, because you might find deficiency in one's manners, and the outside appearance of his religion might be something great. So both come together, although manners is part of the religion, but to make it very specific, that this specific part of the religion, it's very important for the guardian to make sure that this is sound and correct. And why the guardian? Because usually women tend to be shy, and this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from them, right? And this is what they should be.
And maybe they're not experienced as their guardian.
Right. And
at that part of their life.
In many cases, some men might, play tricks or whatever there is. So to make sure, and all of this is by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not just necessarily for the benefit of the husband or the wife, it's for the generation to come, because they are weak when they are born, they have no power whatsoever. So to protect the right of the children, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected them that early on.
And when we're protecting the Muslim family, we're in essence protecting the entire Muslim Ummah.
And this is the beginning, and this is the start that we need to do. We are in a very difficult state, as we see all over the world as Muslims. And how to change this is not in our capacity to change the whole entire Ummah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised us, if we change ourselves, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that would bring the change. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. This is our job. Change yourself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will change the situation of the Ummah in large. And at least we come in the Day of Judgment, Allah, a person will have done his best, and he would be excused that he done his best to save even the Ummah by saving himself, by being steadfast.
And saving his family as well.
No.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة.
No.
O you who believe, save yourselves or shield yourselves from
the hellfire and your family from hellfire. The fuel of it are men and stones.
SubhanAllah.
And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he said that this is in the teaching them the adab, the manners. So
Specifically
this is the
about
foundation of manners. Yes, to teach them, to make sure that you're not just teaching yourself or doing it yourself, you're teaching your children manners and how to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That makes it part of the religion. It's not just that you have children and that's it. You just feed them and that's the responsibility. This is part of the responsibility, to shelter them, to feed them, to clothe them, yes. But the most important thing is to protect them from the hellfire.
Yes. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. My dear sisters, inshallah, feel free to give us a call anytime during the program, inshallah, and ask us your questions relating to Muslim women and relating to relationships in general at 002-0238-555-248 or 249, inshallah, at any time during the program. Shaykh Ibrahim, let's take it step by step as we're taking it. So we said what a Muslim woman should do before marriage. Now that, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed her and granted her a righteous husband, and that they are married, before conceiving, inshallah, the baby, what steps should they take, especially the Muslim woman and also the Muslim man, in order to make sure, inshallah, that they are on the right track to having a righteous child?
They should follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ in all of their affairs, in their relationship, in the intentions of having, making sure that their intentions is right, that they would have a child to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the extent of which when they would have relations together, they would say the dhikr, in which the Prophet ﷺ taught the men and the women, Allahumma jalilna shaitan wa jannib shaitan ma razaqtana. Oh Allah, make the shaitan away from us and protect the offsprings, if whatever you provide for us, from the shaitan. See, the intention is coming from where? Right? This is the constant connection that a Muslim have with the Creator of the heavens and the earth. And then once it happens by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, believing that this is by the qadr of Allah, it's by the destiny of Allah.
Yes.
We have no say in it. And this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned at the end of Surah Al-Shura, that it's the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He makes some people sterilized, they make people, give child, some they have only male, some they have only female, and some of them they have both combined. It's all by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you're definitely preparing yourself that you're satisfied with whatever provisions Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provide for you.
Alhamdulillah, now the sister is pregnant.
No.
What steps can she take right now in order to make sure she has a righteous child, inshallah?
Anything or any step or any level in our life, there are two things to be done: inwardly and outwardly. The inwardly is very important, and that's the deeds done by the heart. She should be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, witnessing that this is something by the destiny of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and she would prepare herself to be patient with the pregnancy. And this is a rewardable period of her time, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed for it to be 9 months. If He willed subhanahu wa ta'ala, it would have been a minute or a day or something like that. But it's meant to be this way, that people will go through this, and especially the mother. That's why the Jannah is very close to the mother, and that's why the obedience of the mother and the father, but the mother, she has more attention when it comes to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, as we all know, because she's the one that bears the child and gives birth and so on. So there's many things to be done inwardly, and then outwardly, I think we have something, but it's something also to be taken care of.
Assalamu alaikum, sister from Bahrain. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Yes, sister, go ahead.
My question is about Quran. I have a question. This usually posed by non-Muslims, so can I ask it today? It's not about relationships.
Go ahead, sister. Inshallah, we'll try to answer.
Why does Allah sometimes refer to Himself like in the third person, like He is Allah the Most High, And sometimes in the first person, I am closer to you than your jugular vein, and like that. So this is one thing I wanted to ask. Wanted to ask in Quran in depth, but I don't know when that is live. So.
Well, it's not live right now, but you can go ahead and ask us. Is this the only question you have, or do you have another question?
Just this one.
Okay, inshallah, we'll answer. Quran depth is coming into Dear Sisters, just like it happened to me last week on the Straight Path. The Straight Path was coming into Dear Sisters. Alhamdulillah.
That's good.
So why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refer to him sometimes, refer to himself sometimes in the third person, sometimes in the first person?
The way the language of the Quran, which is the Arabic language, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High, the miraculous wordings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's according to the way that the Arab spoke the language. So this is according to the rules of the Arabic language. It's all there. A person can speak about himself as the third person, or referring to oneself, or even the plural tense as the royal we, as they say. And it depends on the context, of course. And many of these verses, when it comes to the third person, it says, "Say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Qul huwallahu ahad." Right? Say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one, and so on. So it fits the context like this, and also it refers to for people to ponder over the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is close to the people with His knowledge subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He is over His throne subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it depends on the context, but this is valid in the different ways of speaking in the Arabic language, and sometimes it refers to, when it comes to the royal we, whether it's the royal we, or refers to the angels also, that the angels, for example, are part of this, like وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبِّ الْوَرِيدِ, that we are close to Him than His jugular vein. In one explanation of this, the angels also, meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the angels are close to the person, and it also means the royal way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Jazakallah khair, barakallah feek. My dear sisters, inshallah, feel free to continue giving us a call at 002-0238-555-248 or 249, inshallah. You can also send us an email on our newly created email, inshallah, at dearsisters@huda.tv, dearsisters@huda.tv. Or inshallah, you can also send us a message on our new Facebook page that we just made today, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. That's facebook.com/Dear Sisters Huda TV, Dear Sisters Huda TV. Inshallah, join that page and send us your questions and leave your comments about the episode there also, inshallah ta'ala. Going back to the steps of raising the Muslim child, some people say during pregnancy you should let the child listen to Quran. Maybe put some Quran, on the stomach of the mother. Maybe like a recording, or maybe read Quran next to the child. Is there any proof from the Quran, the Sunnah about that?
No. As far as proof from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and the way the Prophet ﷺ and the companions radiallahu anhu, there's no such a thing that they would make sure that the child is listening to Quran. But Quran is blessings, right? And when people talk about some research in which the child, that the mother would recite so much Quran when she's pregnant, it has an effect on the child, this is something that can be very, very true. Because again, the way that the mother is, that reflects into the child in the womb, and will be when the child will come out, and so on. So it's very important at this time, if you want a righteous child, that you yourself become righteous, and one of which, you can never be righteous unless you recite Quran. So recite Quran, be busy with the Quran, make the Quran always sound in the house, and so on, and things like that. That definitely would have a great effect, and it shows that the child will have a certain manners, more likely to even memorize Quran or to recite Quran. But there's no evidence as far as this is something that has to be done in a particular way.
Jazakallah khair. Noura from Kenya, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for bringing this special program for sisters. May Allah reward you abundantly in this world and hereafter. Now I wanted to ask 3 questions really.
One questions.
Question is concerning the prayer for women. I went to some women scholars who say the way women pray is not the way men pray. When a woman is praying, she should not spread out herself like a man. So I wanted to get advice from the Sheikh if this is true. She told us that you have to gather all your limbs together when you're doing sujood, when you are. So I was a bit confused because I read an English translation of a book written by Albani, the Prophet's prayer. It was not indicated that a Muslim woman should pray differently from a man. Okay?
We answered this question in a previous episode. Inshallah, we'll touch upon it again, inshallah. Yes, second question, inshallah.
Can I ask? Yeah, the second question is we were also told in that particular lesson about the women prayer that you're supposed, if you do 3 harakat, then it invalidates your prayer. So sometimes when I recite the Quran, because I've memorized that, know the meaning, I shed tears. And when I shed tears, I want to wipe my nose. And I do that more than 3 times. So does that invalidate my prayer?
Okay, inshallah.
Okay, so that's the second question.
All right, third question, inshallah.
The third question is, we have some sessions. I have not gone through that because I've read the tafsir of, there's a qasida called Qasidat al-Burda by al-Busari. So this qasida, we have round-going people. We just hear some announcements that today we're going to do this qasida in this house.
Qasidat al-Burda, right?
They read it in Arabic, they recite it in Arabic. And then when I wanted to know what it actually means, when I heard the tafsir of that qasida, it has a lot of shirk, I think. I don't know whether the sheikh can expound on that, because I've not been going to those sessions of reciting this qasida.
Beautiful question, Sister Manura. Barakallahu fiki. Jazakallahu khairan. Manura has 3 questions in 3 different areas, but alhamdulillah, I think all of them are very important. First one, if we can just review it quickly, the idea about women praying a little bit differently than men.
The original status of this is that there's no difference between men and women in prayer. Any hadith that comes when it comes to how to pray, there's no difference. And people should not say, well, this is maybe to men, this is to women. They're all the same. صَلُّوا كَمَا رَأَيْتُمُونِي أُصَلِّي. The Prophet ﷺ said, pray in the same manner that you saw me praying. This is general for all men and women. The only thing that some of the ulama, they said, the only thing is when in the place of sujood, when the woman in sujood, she should be together. That's the only thing.
Put all her limbs together.
Right, not to be, spreading her arms and so on. But this has no, clear evidence from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. This is some of the opinion of some of the ulama. That's it. So if she does that, especially if she might be afraid that maybe men might be around and something like this, definitely this is good. But that's the only thing that is mentioned in the books of fiqh or among the people of Nabi.
So both are correct?
Both are correct, yes. Now. But of course, if she's among, for example, close to men or something like this, then even when it comes to uncovering the face, if she covers her face normally, then she should cover her face even when she's making the salah.
Barakallahu feek. The second question is a question that a lot of people have. If I make 3 movements in my prayer, that invalidates my prayer. Is there truth to that statement?
Some of the ulama, they mentioned that, and you would find these things in some of the books of fiqh. But as far as the 3 movement or more or less, there's no evidence when it comes to the number. It's just a way for some of the ulama to set the urf, or what would look like you're moving too much in the salah. The correct opinion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, as the ulama, they say, of course, moving too much invalidates your salah. What is too much? It depends on the one that is seeing that. Depends on the urf of what is too much. Meaning that if the person standing in the salah, he doesn't look or she doesn't look that they are making salah, they're doing something else. That invalidates the salah. Somebody standing and he's, scratching his head, looking at his watch. If a person just passing for, a second here, he's looking at that person, he's not sure really is he praying or not. That invalidates the salah.
But touching the nose 3 times?
No, there's no such a thing, a specific number. But if a person, he is in need to, to scratch, for example, he's being distracted in his salah because there's something itching or something like that, there's nothing wrong, for doing that, to take care of that so that the person will be able to concentrate on the salah. But the point is, if once a person starts the salah, his heart is not in state of khushu'. So because the heart is in khushu', then definitely the different parts of the body will be accordingly. So it's not the specific number, but it's what the norm or what the person would be seen as someone that is just playing too much in the salah and not concentrating in the salah.
Jazakallah khairan. We have the third question from Sister Noura, and then I want to go back to a question that someone asked from last week about a question that we answered. So let me ask the third question. This qasida called Qasidat al-Burda. What does Islam say about that? Is it a form of shirk?
The ulama, they warned very strongly when it comes to this qasida or this poetry by al-Busiri, because as the sister said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless her, it has so much forms of shirk. When it comes to the extreme praise of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's the best man ever walked on the face of earth. There's no doubt about this, alayhi salatu wasalam. And the Muslim loves the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam more than he loves his own self and wealth and family and so on. But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, he forbade us from excessive or extremely praising him in a way that we become having that state of ghulu or extremism in this. لا تطروني كما أطرت النصارى ابن مريم. Do not extremely praise me like the Christians did to the son of Mary, Isa alayhi salam. So the Prophet ﷺ gave the criteria here. When they thought that by praising him and giving him some of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that this is praising him. This is not praising him, this is the total opposite.
This is associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
That's correct. Because the Prophet ﷺ, his highest level, being a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The perfect slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in this poetry, there are some forms of shirk that the Prophet ﷺ knows what's in the lawh or in the prescribed tablets where the destiny of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is written, that he has something to do with the destiny of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he has a say in it and things of that nature. And that's definitely, this is the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to be given to anyone, even if it's the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So definitely to avoid reading it, listening to it, being a gathering where people are, and actually people do it as an act of worship. Ritually they would sit together and they would recite it and they would move, you know, as if like a form of dancing and things like this. This
Part
is
of
all
the Sufi tradition.
That's right. To run away from it, flee from such gatherings, basically. Now,
Barakallahu feek. Jazakallah khairan. We have Sister Faiza from Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. I have two questions.
Yes, please.
One is, I work as a teacher in an institution. In that institution, the school arranges a parents meeting, teacher-parents meeting. So during that time, sometimes the fathers used to come and sometimes the mothers used to come. I observe complete hijab and covering my face also. I sit in front of them and I talk to the parents, that is the male father, how your child has done. Is it allowed in Islam to talk to a
Jazakallah khairan. Okay, what's the second question, inshallah?
And a second question is, so how should we be in front of our cousins? We wear hijab while going out, but people say that your cousin is your brother. How can you be separated from him, not talking to him, asking him without asking how are you, like this? So how we should behave in front of our cousins?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sister
Mufayda. Separated completely, or can we talk to them with hijab?
Beautiful questions, mashallah. Barakallahu feek. Jazakallah
Can you
khair.
elaborate in this? Thank you.
Barakallahu feek. May Allah reward. First question of Sister Mufayza, she's asking, she works at a school and the day comes for the parents' meeting. Sometimes the mothers come, sometimes the fathers come. How should she wears a complete hijab, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. How should she interact in such a situation?
Right. Of course, definitely, probably these things in an open place. It's not like in a secluded room, for example, where the teacher meets the father, for example, which I would consider it to be that way. So in that case, there's no harm as long as there's the lowering the gaze and speaking to the point and not talking in things that have no benefit to the subject. There's nothing wrong with that, and as long as the hijab is being done in the proper way, lowering the gaze, and again talking about the subject, there's no harm in a public place, in a school where everybody's sitting, things of that nature. There's no harm, inshallah ta'ala.
Jazakallah khair. We're going to take a short break, inshallah, and when we come back, my dear brothers and sisters, we're going to continue answering the other question that was raised by Sister Mufayza, and at the same time we'll answer some of the questions that you have sent us throughout the week. Bi'idhnillah ta'ala, we'll take more of your phone calls, and we'll try inshallah to continue in the subject that we're talking about. If not, then we'll continue it at the beginning of the episode next week, inshallah. Stay with us, we'll be right back, inshallah.
Sisters, let us get closer to Allah. Dear sisters, let us learn of Rasulullah.